If you're not yet convinced that you need a Wahoo Kickr Core in your life, keep watching. I am so sorry it's taken me so long to do this update, but I really wanted to make sure that I had a little bit more experience in using the Wahoo Kickr Core and Zwift before I made my next video. I just want to put out there as well that I am not a pro, I'm not sponsored, I'm not an athlete, I don't race. I just really, really love riding my bike. And I mean, who wouldn't want to ride that? So I've had my Wahoo Kickr Core just over 6 months now. We bought it right in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, and it was pretty tricky to get hold of, but I knew come the winter, come the rain, the snow, the cold, the wind, I wouldn't want to ride outside, but I would still want to ride my Bianchi, and a smart trainer seemed like the perfect way to do that. I also wanted to start using Zwift as a training tool because I wanted to get stronger and I wanted to get fitter. And from my research, I just felt that a Wahoo Kickr Core was the best tool to use alongside that training platform. Now, a few weeks after the Wahoo Kickr Core actually arrived, we booked to go to the Alps and planned to ride some tour climbs. So I had a lot of work to do. I needed to get a lot stronger and a lot fitter very, very quickly. Now, bearing in mind that I actually only got back on the road and back into road riding in April, by August, I climbed the Galilee, which is probably one of my proudest achievements to date.
You alright?
Oh, yeah.
You gonna keep going or are you stopping?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna cry.
And I fully accredit my ability to doing that to Zwift and using a Wahoo Kickr Core to help me train, and obviously eating a lot of food. Literally 2.6 miles from our campsite on the cycle path, and I'm hungry, so I'm a little snack. If you do want to see that video, if you want to see what we did on that trip, I will leave the link in the description, and you can also find those videos in my channel. So yeah, I would definitely argue the best thing about a smart trainer and the best thing about Zwift are the workout opportunities. So let me talk you through a few of my favourite rides. Now, I'm often quite short for time, and I like to do short, sharp workouts. And for that reason, Emily's Short Mix is actually one of my favourites. Now, the session starts off with a 3-minute warm-up, followed by 3 intervals starting at 85% of your FTP. You then have a very short recovery section, and then that process repeats another 2 times. And of course, each set of intervals get increasingly more difficult. And by the end, I'm sweating it out, I am dying, I'm hanging out, and I can barely pedal.
I feel
good. I feel strong.
Yeah?
This is where I die in the next one.
Yeah, this is gonna be hard, this one. Just big feet, big feet. Last, come on. Sprint, sprint. Cadence. 10 seconds. 7.
So that is Emily's short mix, which is my absolute go-to workout. If you've got 30 minutes to spare and you just want to get a good sweat on, like I have, then you cannot go wrong. It's fab. It's nice because it's in 3 sections. You do get that tiny little bit of rest period between each kind of section of intervals, which obviously you really need. And by the end, as you can probably see from the footage, I am hanging out. I am, struggling at the end. But it's completely manageable. It's not too much of a task. And I think when you can complete a workout in its entirety, and when you can complete a workout and know that you've hit every interval and given it full beans at every interval, it makes you feel amazing. It gives you dolphins. It gives you those endorphins. And it just, makes you pretty incredible. So now I can crack on with my day. I've done my cardio, I've done my training, and I feel amazing. One of the best things about doing a workout on Zwift using a Wahoo Kickr Core is erg mode. And that's because it makes it really easy for you to hit the prescribed watts given in Zwift on your bike. And the way erg mode works is quite simply the smart trainer is smart enough to adjust the resistance according to the cadence which you are putting out. And what that means is that when you are transitioning from 80 watts to, let's say, 160, this bad boy just kicks in, increases that resistance. So really you just keep pedaling exactly the same and the resistance will do the work for you. On a couple of occasions where I've been a little bit lazy and not worked hard enough and put out enough power and increased my cadence appropriately, my smart trainer has increased the resistance, kept turning the resistance up so that I could meet the prescribed watts. And of course, I'm then stuck, unable to pedal through that. So to avoid that, just make sure you're keeping an eye on the screen and get your cadence up before that resistance kicks in, before you're going to be hitting those watts. One of my other favourite things to do on Zwift is use the Just Ride option and ride the hilly route. Now, I love this route because it gets me really hot really quick, gets me sweating, and there's some lovely little climbs within that you can get out of your saddle and really start to push yourself. And Zwift encourages you to do that because it will show you your own personal best on certain sections, but it will also show you other people's best times so that when you are riding, especially on a climb, you've got something to compete with. And I love that element. I love the fact that Zwift encourages me to ride harder and to ride faster than I perhaps usually would. When we were in the Alps last year in August, on the last day, we had to make the decision as to whether we went and rode the Col de Telegraph and Col de Galilee or whether we went and rode Alpe d'Huez. And Will had actually already ridden Alpe d'Huez, so the Telegraph and Galilee won, and it was incredible. And actually, that was probably the right decision because I don't need to ride Alpe d'Huez because I can just ride Alpe de Zwift in there. And to be honest, it's probably slightly safer for me because it means that I haven't got to worry about getting off my bike and clipping in on a mountain because I am not very good at that, okay? I will put my hands up and say that is not my forte.
I think I'm going to need a push start.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
Go on then. Brakes are on. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
For sure?
Sure.
Ready? Ah, you haven't got me?
Go on then.
Go! Here we go! Woo!
Whereas in there, I can ride a super immersive experience, a true to life experience, and it's much safer. So yeah, Alpe de Zwift is a very, very cool feature. Now you don't have to use a secondary training app like Zwift to make the most of your Wahoo Kickr Core. You can just ride through the Wahoo app, and I actually use this quite a bit. Now I also follow a weightlifting program, and at the end of every session, I like to do 15 minutes of cardio at 130 beats per minute. So all I do is strap my ticker on, hop on my bike, turn the Wahoo app on, and just increase those watts until I hit those beats per minute. Great again if you're perhaps following a different workout plan or perhaps even a GCN workout video on YouTube. You just keep increasing your watts as required. Come back, do you need me to hold it? Yeah. Okay, I'll come now. I've got to go and hold some plasterboard. I'm gonna bring you with me. Right. I shouldn't complain because he's literally building me another gym. It is so cold outside.
You didn't build a squat rack during lockdown. Did you even lockdown? And this is what is going to be your pain cave.
That was fairly stressful. I can't actually feel my hands right now. Similarly, if you've got a Wahoo Element Bolt or an Element Roam, you could create a route on Komoot or Strava and then send that route over to your Element Bolt or Roam and then ride that route. You can pair this to your Wahoo Kickr Core and then you could do, well, the world is your oyster. You could, perhaps you were doing a sportive and wanted to test out one of the more challenging sections. You could literally copy that route and ride it before you get there. Awesome. Now it's taken us a little while to get the optimal setup for the Wahoo. And currently we're actually in my work studio and this is a converted conservatory. And this room works perfectly because it's on the edge of the house. When I am pedaling away in here and talking or listening to music, no one in the house can really hear you. The Wahoo itself is pretty silent, but you do get a little bit of noise from your chain. So ideally you do want to set yourself up, if you're going to be riding kind of early in the morning, further away from the rest of your family if possible. Of course, being a conservatory, there are loads of windows and a great big door, so if you position yourself correctly, if you position yourself in front of those windows and those doors, it's amazing to have great fresh air flowing over you while you're riding, because you will get very, very hot. And if you haven't got access to windows and doors in front of you, get a aircon unit. Please don't ride without an aircon unit, or even better, get yourself one of those headwinds. Very, very snazzy. I would very much like one, but they're very expensive. One of my top tips is get yourself a nice little yoga mat to put your Kickr Core on. This is £5 from Aldi, and it works perfectly. It's also great because it will protect your floor and catch all the sweat, because if you're anything like Will, you will sweat a lot, and I don't like cleaning that up. So we've tried a few different setups and it's been a bit of trial and error in order to find the best setup for us, but we have settled on playing Zwift on a laptop and then using an HDMI cable to mirror it to just a basic TV screen. And the reason why we prefer this setup is because when you're sat on your bike, you don't have to reach forward and press your laptop in front of you, which means you haven't got to stop pedaling and lose precious seconds. You can literally just do tappy on the side. It's nicer having as well a larger screen to watch Zwift on. In an ideal world, that TV would obviously be a little bit bigger. The other setup we tried was using our phones or an iPad and mirroring from the Samsung phone to a Samsung TV, which was great. But of course, at that point, you then can't use your phone for the companion app, which if you're on group rides is obviously essential. So yeah, I definitely would recommend using a laptop if you've got one and then mirroring it to a TV. So what are my Zwift goals for this year? What are my Zwift plans for 2021? Well, I really want to do a race. Every time that I go to commit to one and think, right, that's it, I'm going to enter that one, I'm going to ride that race, I chicken out basically, and I get a little bit scared, and I haven't done one yet. And there's no need to be worried, because the races are categorized according to your gender, according to your power, according to your ability. So you'll be riding against people who are of a similar ability to you, to keep some kind of level playing field. So that is my number one goal, and I promise that when I do it, I will film it and let you know how it goes. I really recommend as well, if you haven't yet joined perhaps one of the Facebook groups for Zwifting, then do that, because there's an amazing community of people out there, and it makes joining events and group rides so much easier when you are part of that community, because you see more things coming up. Start following people, start following other riders who you admire, who you enjoy, and you can join their rides. To give you a bit of an idea about my progress, I got back on my bike in April at the start of the UK lockdown.
Do you want to just explain to the camera what just happened?
I rode so well the whole way. When I pulled up outside the house,
And what happened?
I fell off.
And my limit was 10 miles. Like, I would do 10 miles and that would be hard. Whereas now, I think my longest ride is like 75 miles. I can remember the first time I did 30 miles in a day, and I was elated that that was the furthest I'd like ridden for so many years. Whereas now that's a short ride now. So yeah, my endurance has definitely improved. My FTP has improved massively, which is just incredible. Even in terms of like climbing, when I used to go out and ride, I couldn't get out the saddle. I literally couldn't get out the saddle. I was scared that I didn't have the power in my legs. Whereas now I don't even think about it, and I smash those climbs, and I've got a few QOMs over time, and that's amazing. That progress for me is incredible. So I highly, highly accredit all of that to riding her, like lots, yes, but riding her on that Wahoo Kickr Core and using Zwift and following those training plans and pushing myself much, much harder than I would on a road ride. I think it's really easy on a road ride to just enjoy the scenery. And I am a lazy girl. Like, I just love riding my bike. I just want to enjoy it. Whereas in my pain cave, when I'm using my Wahoo Kickr Core, I am pushed to my limits. I'm pushed harder than I would push myself normally. So yeah, a Wahoo Kickr Core and Zwift is a really, really good tool if you want to improve. I really hope you've enjoyed my little tour de Zwift or tour de Wahoo Kickr Core. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the lovely comments on my previous videos. I do read every single comment and try to get back to every comment, so I would love to hear from you if you've enjoyed this video. Please do give it a little like and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more from me, and let me know what you'd like to see. Like I say, I love hearing from you. Stay safe, and thank you for riding with me today.